Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
And now, back to a man who didn't let being named one of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America go to his head.
Woo! Woo! Yes! In your face!
He's Jim Blasingame, the small business advocate.
Welcome back. 34 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Thanks for being part of my day. My pleasure to continue to be with you. As always, I'm always excited about having our good friend Chuck Kadlec back on the show. Chuck is an original member of a founding member of our Brain Trust. He's been with me now for over almost 14 years. We'll have a 14th anniversary with him coming up pretty soon. And he's the author of Dow 100,000 Fact or Fiction, and among other things. And of course, he's many of you have seen his writing on Forbes.com. He's on the economic advisor board of the American Principles Project, and on and on. Also, the founder of Community of Liberty, and he's our good friend Chuck Kadlec. Welcome back to the show,
Jim. Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you back. So Chuck, the Fed is meeting today, and the interesting thing about the Fed, Chuck, is I've been doing a Fed Watch show every meeting that they've had since 1998. And so I've become not an expert, but an ardent amateur Fed watcher. And for many, many years, there was actually something substantial about what their meeting was going to be about, and it was interesting to predict what they were going to do. But for the last 3 or so years, it's been kind of, in a lot of ways, it's been kind of boring. They basically have just been finding new ways to be relevant, it seems to me. Am I wrong about that?
Well, I think the suspense is clearly out of the Fed Watch game. And I think that's good, because the suspense helped created trading and created a lot of activity that didn't really produce anything but helped Wall Street. And I think it makes sense for markets to be more aware of what the Fed is going to do and to not get surprised by anything that the Fed does do. So I think that's the first part. The second point I would make is simply that there's nothing left for the Fed to do.
Yeah.
They're at zero interest rates. They've done quantitative easing twice, didn't really do much. In fact, it's interesting, the economy seems to be getting stronger now. They've stopped doing quantitative easing and chasing people into gold and other inflation hedges. And in fact, inflation has started to ease down. And third, they do have Chairman Ben Bernanke has conscientiously tried to become more and more transparent. And in fact, the one event that may happen after this meeting is they may announce the new policy of when they announce how they communicate to the American people, actually to the people all over the world, and to markets what actions they have taken and what they contemplate, what they plan to take. I think it's all good.
Well, we know that the Fed actions has helped Wall Street, right? What the things the Fed has done has really helped, basically helped save Wall Street. Am I correct about that?
Well, the Fed's job is to be the lender of last resort.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, then there's no reason to have a central bank. I mean, that's why they created.
But answer my question: did they not save Wall Street in 2008?
No, I don't think they saved Wall Street. Not in the way that TARP saved Wall Street. No, I disagree with that. What they did do is there was effectively a run on the bank in the panic of 2008, late 2008, especially when the Reserve Fund broke the buck and people were scrambling, jumping out of money market funds into banks. And there was a huge liquidity crush because the banks were also rolling over their commercial or their certificates of deposit. So the Fed stepped up and opened up the discount window and lent.
Okay, but that saved that. All right, so all right, maybe we have a disagreement on who got saved, but I still say that what the Fed did. So let me ask you this question: what did the Fed do in those days, and what are they doing now to help small business owners? Are they helping small business owners at all? That's what I thought.
To the extent they're keeping interest rates artificially low, maybe. But the problem is when our interest rates are artificially low, then savers are also getting a low return on their saving, and so
I guess what I'm getting at is when they open the discount window to to the banks that formerly were not commercial banks, that flipped over to be commercial banks, so they could have access to the discount window and at ridiculously low prices. They had access to a source of revenue of cash that small business owners didn't have access to.
Yeah, right? But if the small businessman was using a bank for a line of credit, then in fact what the Fed did kept that line of credit open. Yeah,
but the Fed's lending standards were different than my local bank's lending standards. So, all right, stand by. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chuck Kadlec some more about this and the national and global economy. Stay with us.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved.